That's the sound of a cute piglet, right? Wrong. That's the war cry of a wild boar, and there's one charging towards you as we speak. All you have is your Swiss Army knife. You don't know what to do. But then you remember my thought-provoking speech, what I'm about to teach you. In this speech, I'll cover the background and fundamentals of how to throw a knife successfully. I have been throwing knives for a few years, and I've even taught some of my friends and family, and evaluated my sources for this speech to be accurate. When knife throwing, it is important to know which knife to use, how to throw it properly, and how to do all those things safely. Knife throwing was my favorite hobby for a long time. I used to spend hours practicing in my backyard. I started throwing 2.5 years ago during the pandemic. Since then, I haven't been into it as much. As far as skill, I wasn't amazing, though I did practice a lot. My farthest throw was 76 feet away from my wooden target. My knife collection has grown significantly. I originally started with folding knives and pocket knives, then moved on to throwing knives soon after. I have around 80 knives that I have attained in recent years. There are many types and have many purposes. Once I had a lot of knives, it wasn't that difficult to choose which to throw, though it can be a challenge for many people starting out, since there are several aspects of choosing the right knife. The weight is key. It can't be too light or too heavy. The blade should be fairly aerodynamic and even. A general rule for the blade is to have about an 1/8 inch thickness to keep it from breaking after strenuous use. Balance, like in life, is crucial to knife throwing. To test the balancing point, place your finger on the middle of the knife to see if it is balanced, max 2 to 3 inches from the center. Make sure that one side is not too much heavier than the other. The only exception would be a bigger knife's handle offsetting the weight, and even these can be thrown with practice. Many types of knives exist, but not all are practical for throwing. There are still multiple knives to choose from. You can use knives specifically made for throwing, which is usually an 1/8 inch thick solid steel, or you can use Bowie knives, which is a handle, a guard, and a longer blade, typically used for cutting and chopping. Another option is learning to throw nails, ninja stars, or saw blades. With ninja stars, it is easier to hit a target due to its many points, as stated in the article titled, "The Bloomfield Throwing Knife, Analyzing an Improvised Shuriken to Appreciate the Derived Artifact," where author Don Arp states how the more points a shuriken had, the greater percentage of strikes on the target, meaning that it is easier and more consistent. Now that you know which is the right knife or weapon to use, the next step is how to position yourself. Position and body placement are crucial. The first step is hand position. Now generally there are 3 types of hand positions for knife throwing. There's half spin, which is throwing by the blade, full spin, which is throwing by the handle, and no spin, which is throwing with your index finger on the spine to reduce the spin of the knife. It is important to be careful of how you grip the knife, particularly during half spin, to avoid losing all of your fingers. Body position is also key. Before throwing, you should determine the distance it takes for one full rotation of the knife to hit its target. Generally speaking, around 8 feet is a good starting point to have your dominant foot. When throwing your knife, hold it up, not too tightly, until it is almost parallel with your head, and then snap it back down. Relax your hand to, quote, "let the knife slide out of your hands," end quote, as professional knife thrower and YouTuber Adam Chalatin points out in his video, "The Easiest Way How to Throw Knives," which I recommend for any beginners. The next and most important step is enjoying the sweet, sweet thud of successfully sticking your knife into your target. Steve Zerger, a knife throwing teacher in Toronto, said, quote, "It's pretty addictive," end quote, in the newspaper article titled, "Knife Throwing Steps Out of the Circus and Into Martial Arts" by Olivia Carville. Before utilizing all these techniques, it is good to set precautions. Remaining safe is an important step anytime you are knife throwing. To avoid shoulder and arm injury, it can be beneficial to start slow. Ease into the movement in order to not strain any muscles by throwing too hard. Reducing throwing speed can also reduce ricochet. I've experienced this firsthand when one of my throwing knives bounced off into my kneecap. So to avoid this, increase your distance from your target to remain safe. Be aware of any of your surroundings as well. Make sure that there are no people or animals that could be in your path in case you miss or throw too hard. Evidently, throwing a knife requires consistent practice and can take a while to master. In this potentially life-saving speech, I explained how to throw knives, which to use, how to be safe, and to keep most of your fingers. To learn even more about knife throwing, you can visit Adam Chilada on YouTube, or my YouTube channel, Liam Williams, as well. I hope this helped you better understand knife throwing and how to go about learning it more. And it may be key in case you run into any wild boars. Thank you.